What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Have y'all ever heard of the Purple Revolution or the Purple Party or something like that? Well, there are some conservative youth, right, who have real conservative values. And we're not talking about white supremacist values. I'm talking about actual, legitimate, conservative, small hat, small government, limited government, conservative values, right? And they get mixed up with this new conservatism, which is racism, right, by another name. And now some of them are doing something that we haven't seen in a long time. They are reaching out to the left, right? And this is within the white community, right? Because remember, this is a civil war amongst them for the hearts and minds of their people and how they want to move forward, right? And white people, politics is their religion. Dividing themselves up with titles and names and lines is things that they do historically. That's cultural consistency. So every now and then, you know, the extreme, or what we consider the extreme right, or somebody on the right, and the extreme left, somewhere we would consider on the left, they get affected to the point to where they now decide that the only other option is for them to find common ground in order to fight the true enemy. And for hundreds of years, for thousands of years, as Europeans have existed, the enemy has been the same. It's just that the enemy has been very good at defeating their opponents, right? And it's never been left and right. It's always been up and down. So the enemy of Europeans, the peasants, the common folk, right, the warrior class, has always been the aristocrats, the rich, the dukes, the duchess, the kings, the queens, right, the aristocrats. And ever so often, those Europeans come to a reckoning, an enlightenment, right? And then they get together and they form a bond, right, with the purpose of uniting to destroy the aristocrats. This has happened in history several times. I think one of the most famous ones was, I think it happened in France, right? Where the people just said, you know what, we're just gonna eliminate these rich folks because they are really fucking shit up, right? I think the French Revolution was one of them, right? But it's happened multiple times, right, throughout European history, where the youth, right, the people get together and they fight against the upper class, right? Because to be honest, the upper class don't have power unless the society agrees that they have power. Like, honestly, a king, what power does a king have over a peasant other than the fact that everybody listens to the king because they believe that the king has some sort of omnipotent power? Why would anybody really listen to a duke or a duchess when the duke and the duchess put their pants on the same way as the peasant who feeds the horses, right? So once the peasant realizes that they are, in the eyes of nature, in the eyes of whatever god they worship, they are in fact equal to whoever that guy who put himself on a pedestal is, they decide they can do something about it. And anytime the people decide that they've had enough of agreeing to the social networks that was created by these well-to-do people, they destroy it and set something up new. And it seems like Europeans are on the precipice of doing that in America. They're doing it in Europe right now. If you look at what's happening in France, look at what's happening in England, look at what's happening in Spain, look at what's happening in Nepal, look at what's happening in the European world right now. The people are now being affected by the side effects of the oligarchs and the aristocrats plunder and pillaging all over the world, to the point to where home base, Europe, all right, home base for white folk, because of the side effect of their aristocrats plundering and pillaging to no end other people's countries, and then being so greedy after plundering and pillaging other people's countries and building their personal empires in Europe, and not even wanting to pay their own people to work in those institutions because money is their god. they import the very same people they have plundered and pillaged into their own homeland. Because these people don't even care about their homeland because they can afford to make any place their homeland. But so now Europe is being inundated by everybody Europe has plundered and pillaged over the last 500 years. Right? Asians, Africans, and Middle Easterners, and Indians. So now the home base is being overrun. So what are Europeans to do? Now, we don't like it as Africans. We don't want Europeans moving into Africa trying to take over. That's literally the issue, right? Asia. Asians don't want Europeans coming in, taking over all of Asia. That was literally the issue, right? Europeans went to the Western Hemisphere and took over almost all of the Western Hemisphere and genocided the original inhabitants of the land, right? And then pushed them into some reserve out in the middle of the shittiest parts of America, right? And surrounded their reservations with liquor stores, right? So to further destroy them because, you know, Indian people don't process alcohol very well, right? And stealing their babies and continue to disenfranchise them and disappear their women, right? While taking their identity and building casinos off the backs of their $5 Indian registry. So benefiting from Native American culture while not even being Native American and white. Europeans pretending to be Native Americans. The same way white people pretend to be Semitic people from the Middle East and pretend to be Africans and pretend to be Venezuelans and Argentinians and all that shit. Anything but European, right? So now Europe, the homeland of Europe, is being inundated by the rest of the world, and there's no recovering from that. And in all their colonies, they're being inundated with the people around them that the oligarchs have made suffer for the benefit and the profit of those aristocrats and those oligarchs. So white people, you know, the peasants, they're at a reflection point because they've been used as the tool to suppress all these people. But now there's not enough of them to suppress all these people. Now all these people they suppress have gained power and position and numbers within the societies that they once dominated, right? Changing the political landscape of these areas. Now white people they have a choice. They can either fight a war of attrition and try to maintain their dominance, or they can switch and try to adapt to the new world that's oncoming. And so they're fighting for that shit right now, right? But it's going to require that left and that right that they've created that a lot of people like to team up with, right? Like black folks and other people of color like to get on the side of white political parties and attach themselves to things that don't belong to them because that's their religion, right? We are supposed to back up because politics is more than just two parties, right? But white folks right now are fighting to figure out what the hell they're going to do. But in order for them to do anything, they have to fight their main enemy, which they're oligarchs. They're aristocrats. And it seems like they're trying to do it. And they're creating these things like you got the alt-left, right? The alt-left is liberal and progressive white people who want to show conservatives that they're not no punk-ass bitches. And they'll fight back. Gaining the respect of the conservatives. Because the thing is, you know, the conservative right tout themselves as being tough. The warrior class, the warrior group, the warrior political party that uphold a level of supremacy, right? Strength. And they view, because they've always been taught, that the left, because they allow things to happen, are the weak party. But it seems like the conservative groups, right, are the weak ones because they can't take criticism, they can't take change, and they can't process information, right? They hurt and they're afraid because of all the change. The liberal left, they're not afraid of change, right? But they usually are not physically confrontational because they're more of an intellectual group. But they want to display that they are tough as well, gaining the respect of their counterparts on the right, right? So I do like that alt-left because they need to show that we're not just a bunch of weak bitches because they need the conservative side to respect and fear them, right? Remember, this is pre-battles type shit, right? But then you got the purples in the middle because after they fight, because if you ever been in a fight, you can have a disagreement with somebody, you get in a fight, but after that, you're supposed to, after you get it out and you punch each other a few times and you receive each other's punches, it's an intimate moment between the two of you, and at that point you can gain each other's respect. And after that, you can have a true conversation. And then you can say, you know what? We both agree that we want this thing. Let's work together now. Now that we both respect each other and understand where each other's coming from. And that's where this purple thing is coming from. This purple, right? I guess if you take blue and red, you mix it together and make purple. They're trying to unite. So there's an element of European Americans trying to unite politically in order to fight the oligarchs happening in America. They've already done it in Europe. They're doing it in Europe. It's happening in different ways in European countries, but in America, the greatest European colony, because it's not a European country, even though, they would like for you to believe it, this is a European colony, right? This is a great colony. It's a very big, powerful colony, but colony nonetheless, right? They're trying to unite because they understand in the age of information, no longer can the oligarchs hide their movements via word salad or via a book, right? A religious book that only they could read because the majority of the peasants are illiterate. Because keep in mind, that's how they controlled the information before. Most Europeans were illiterate throughout history, right? The only people who can read were the clergy, were the aristocrats, were the royal class. They can read information. They can pass along information. And you got to understand how important it is to be able to do that, to be able to read when everybody can't. Because if I can read and you can't, I can tell you what the book says, or I can lie to you about what the book says, and you got to take my word for it because you don't understand the book. But now we all can understand the book. So you can't tell me that it says that when I can read that and it don't say that. And that's kind of what's happening here on a large scale with the age of information, internet, social media, being able to see on the ground what's happening while these people lie to us on their media channels trying to tell us that we don't see what we see, that we don't hear what we hear, and that we don't feel economically what we feel economically, right? So I'm going to put this one guy, he's a good example, and you can see his energy. You can see that he would stereotypically be that preppy boy, conservative, white, supremacy-esque type. But obviously he's been affected, or something's affected him in a way to where he feels like he needs to reach out to the left. When the right starts to reach out to the left to unite, that's when you know something's about to happen. Because the left always reaches out to the left, the left always reaches out to the right because they're the thinking group. They are the educated group who pontificates too much without taking action. And the conservatives are the ones who take actions without pontificating. But when you get the action takers and the pontificators together, all of a sudden they're pontificating and they're taking action, if you understand what I'm saying. So without further ado, check out this one individual as an example and just start looking up Purple Party. And if you're black, just step aside like we've been doing and let's watch this thing happen. Just make sure you move out the way when you see danger coming. Because this shit's gonna get bad, all right? Because when white folks do shit, they do shit, you understand? All right, it ain't always talking. They start talking, but then they start doing shit. And that's cultural consistency, all right? Anyway, that's all I got to say. Tell me what you guys think in the comment sections. After Think Tank, learn some tea something. I'm out.
So white people are on my FYP talking about Purple Revolution. And what this is from is there are particular creators, one whose name is actually Purple Revolution, who are talking about the fact that they are MAGA or are coming out of MAGA or are still MAGA and realizing that Trump lied to them and that everything that they thought they believed in was a lie. Are these people woke? Not yet. But because these policies are not creating the world they thought it was going to create, and because it's actually harming them and they're starting to realize that it's harming them, they're starting to realize that we need to come together to put an end to this regime. And they're calling it Purple Revolution in honor of the man who most of us have seen on our FYP talking about it. And so in these comments, I've seen multiple people from left, right, in between, and out on the edges talking about, I'm with you, sir. Let's get this done. Purple Revolution. I'm gonna call it the Prince movement, okay? But I'm seeing a lot of these comments and hashtags, but I'm not seeing anything being put into action. And I know people aren't going to display what they're doing behind the scenes on their social medias, but I want to know that the people who are predominantly white in these comment sections who are talking about Purple Revolution, the Prince movement, right, that they are going to actually put it into work. But something in me is telling them that they don't know how. And part of them is still waiting for black and brown people to take the lead, to be at the forefront of this movement. And that's just not going to happen. So for all of the white people who want to make Purple Revolution a real thing, who want to actually put an end to this tyrannical dictatorship, Here's a little advice. If y'all want this to be a real revolution with real results and not a revolution cosplay, then I need y'all to stop romanticizing 1776 and get a grip on reality and realize that we are in 2025. That means this is going to take strategy, discipline, and sacrifice, not hashtags and slogans. Don't just sit here and scream about tyranny and freedom without specifics. Y'all have to define what a non-tyrannical government looks like to you and the other people that you're trying to make this world better for. It means taking into account policies, rights, accountability. Then you'll need to write a platform. Short, plain English, understandable for most people, and actionable before anything else. Know your demands. Know what it is that you're fighting for, fighting and working towards. And for this to be a real revolution for real people, it can't just center you and your religious beliefs or your moral convictions, if that's what y'all want to call them. This has to be for everyone's basic human rights, while keeping in mind that you are going to allow people to live the way they want to live as long as they're not harming anyone else without imposing your own beliefs onto them. We need to be real big on minding our business. Y'all need to organize locally, not just online. Because real movements grow from neighborhoods up, not from hashtags down. Build chapters, hold town meetings, town halls, hold strategy sessions, get people together and organized. Meet up and communicate face to face. Train members in action and community defense, because every movement is going to need a defense party. It's going to be a big one for y'all, but y'all are going to have to sacrifice comfort, not just talk about it. A revolution that doesn't cost something is not a revolution. Risk your reputation. Call out racism and fascism anywhere and any place around anybody that you happen to hear it or see it. Risk your job. Organize unions. Push for changes for good in the workplace. Protect the whistleblowers. Risk your money. Fund the causes and leaders that are already doing the work. Protect those most vulnerable. Because if you're serious about ending tyranny, then you need to start where it hits the hardest. Black and brown communities, poor folks, LGBTQIA+, immigrants, disabled people. Make protecting the people of those communities your front line work, not an afterthought. To do that, you have to have empathy and be selfless. Stop idolizing strong men. You can't fight tyranny by continuing to create mini dictators. Absolutely no more cult of personality leaders. Use collective decision making and communication and transparency and share leadership roles, especially with those who come from marginalized communities. And study. Learn to understand how real movements work. Study the civil rights movement, labor movements, indigenous land defense. Study anti-apartheid movements and struggles. Understand that boycotts work. Money holds power. And please remember that mutual aid helps when states crack down. And be ready for state and governmental pushback. They might smear you, divide you, arrest you, threaten your jobs. This is normal. And if you aren't ready for it, you aren't ready for revolution. Center justice, not freedom. Because freedom without justice just becomes freedom for the powerful to oppress. Make equity, I know that word is scary, and rebuild the foundation. Or else you're just going to end up rebuilding a shinier version of the same system. Now, y'all are going to have to commit for the long run. You can't just give up the movement and stop doing the work when it's no longer trending on your FYP. We're talking about decades. If you can't do these things, you're not ready for a revolution and you're not really ready to end tyranny. You're just venting. Real change, real revolution takes discipline, humility, and the willingness to be uncomfortable and make sacrifices for the greater good of all, not just yourself.
If you're a fucking leftist, listen up. It's time for the Purple Revolution. Hi, my name is Hunter Howell, and I'm a right-wing independent creator. And I'm telling you right now, the issue is not right versus left. It is up versus down. These people at the top do not care about me, and they definitely don't care about you or your friends either, okay? And even though I slightly lean right, we might not agree on every policy. I think you're probably a cool-ass person. You're probably a great human being, okay? And I want to share that message of unity and loving thy neighbor. And we must unite, and we have to do it now if we want our future to be better, to be prosperous, okay? I am telling you, it is intentional to keep us divided and mad at each other and blaming each other for all of these problems. And in reality, we all probably want similar things, okay? And in order to get to that place of a better future for our generation, for our children's generation, we have to unite. There are some great people on this app. Friendly Honey Badger, I'm going to tag her, as well as Brian, Purple Revolution himself. They are amazing creators, okay? And I know a lot of you are like, how do we get involved? You're ready. First things first, like, comment, share this video with as many people as you want. If you want to drop a follow, do that as well, okay? Start talking about it. Start uniting with your neighbors. Start doing something kind for someone that you know disagrees with you on a policy standpoint or a political ideology. Like, start building up your communities from the ground up where you're at. That's how you can make a difference in your everyday life right now. We're working on some stuff, and we're going to get back to you. But just know, I'm sending you my love. Please pass that love on to your neighbor. Please listen the fuck up. This is regarding the Purple Revolution. If you're MAGA tuning in, a far leftist tuning in, or anyone in between, welcome. Hopefully this analogy resonates with you. My name is Hunter. I want to be your friend, and I'm a bit of a nerd. I like Star Wars, Harry Potter, The Hunger Games, and was doing some thinking. Here's an analogy that holds to be true, in my opinion. In The Hunger Games, the second movie and book, Finnick says to Katniss in the arena, Katniss, remember who the real enemy is. This is right as Katniss had her bow and arrow pointed at Finnick, another tribute. And he was talking about the creator of the games, the Capitol, right? The elitist. And it's so symbolic because then Katniss realizes, oh, these tributes, we are the tributes in this analogy, are not enemies, okay? And she points her arrow up and, you know, great cinema. But that's besides the point. The point is, we are not each other's enemies, despite the billions of dollars of money being poured into media channels, to communications channels, to convince you otherwise. Okay? We all probably want very similar things, and we all want a prosperous future. But we're always focused on the wrong 1 or 2%. The 1 or 2% that we need to be focused on is looking up. Okay? Because I can guarantee you something. You get a red billionaire and a blue billionaire on a yacht, they'll party, they'll cheer, they'll laugh, and they do not care at all because they're looking down on us, watching us do all this fighting, and they're like, yeah, they're not going to do anything about it. But I say it's enough, and it is time for a change, and in order to have that change, we need to unite. Please make sure to comment, like, and follow for more. I'm going to be updating you with more as I go along, and as always, I'm sending you love. Pass that love on to your neighbor, please. So I'm here reporting at the United States of Israel building, and it's quite a beautiful building despite the fact we are fully occupied. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. Hear me out. Majority of our members of Congress are paid for by AIPAC, which is a lobbying group that acts on behalf of Israel's best interests, not Americans' best interest. And it's fucking bullshit, okay? I am so tired of Americans struggling on both the left and the right, okay? Just for our fuck-ass government to go, you know what? Another $20 billion to Israel. That's what we're going to do to solve America's problems. And we're realizing it's not the case, okay? It's not the case that we need to send this foreign nation billions of our money because it doesn't benefit us. In fact, it only hurts us on the global scale as well as our economy. If you think what I'm saying is true, make sure to like and comment and share and follow for more. We all need to unite against what our corrupt government is doing by supporting Israel endlessly. Fuck, I have some serious news for you. I'm outside of the Capitol in this beautiful democracy, but the truth is we're actually controlled by Israel. And if that's news to you, well, let me explain. And if you already knew that, well then, hey, let's be friends. Comment, like, follow, share 5 of your friends. Majority of our members in Congress, 98% of members on the GOP, the Republican side, are paid for by AIPAC in the form of lobbying. And on the left side, I think it's like 85 to 88%. So in total, it's over 90% of our lawmakers being paid for by a PAC, an American PAC. It's fucking not. It used to be the American Zionist Council, by the way, just so you know.
and now it's the, they had to rebrand it the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, yada, yada, yada. They are acting on behalf of that nation. And they get paid a lot of money for it. And then they choose to pass policy that benefits that nation, but not us. Not people in the United States that might be struggling, that could use that help, those resources. And it's bullshit. And it's time for a change. Unite with me. We have to stand united. Left, right, red, blue. These people are not for me. They're not for you. And we need to change that. So I'm outside the Capitol building, and I need you to know something. Do not scroll. If you're a leftist, if you're a conservative, it doesn't fucking matter. My name is Hunter Howell, and I would never do anything to harm myself. I just need to tell you the truth. In case something bad happens to me, I'm a person on the right side, the Republican side, so to speak. But you could consider me based, because the United States is occupied by Israel politically. Now, obviously, Gaza and Palestine are occupied physically, and it's a lot worse for the people over there. But that will come to us too. Mark my words. This app has already been bought by Larry Ellison. They just bought CBS as well. And we don't have a lot of time to unite, which is why you need to get this video out and start loving your neighbors. Start coming together, red and blue, purple revolution, right? Because pretty soon there won't be many people on this app like me that are able to criticize Israel, okay? We're next. And if we don't make a stand now, together, united, strong, in numbers, then we're cooked. But I believe that we can fight back and win. Let me know your thoughts. Sending love.
Good morning, everyone. So this video came across my page, and this is Good Trouble, and I'm sure most of you know who this is, okay? He's a Democrat and very staunch, and falls into the category of what we would consider blue MAGA. But let's hear what he has to say about the Purple Revolution.
It's not left versus right, it's up versus down. Sure, but I think that we can do two things at the same time. I think we can acknowledge that there are wealth-hoarding capitalist monsters dooming millions of people into poverty, and then also some of those millions of people who are doomed to poverty also kind of want immigrants to have no rights in America, and also want women to have different rights in America, and also want gay people to have different rights. It's a little bit of left versus right, and
So this is the divisions that we're having here in America, because you need to understand something. A lot of us that left the Democrat Party, such as myself, that I am now a no-party person, I am not represented at all, that I realized that propaganda, exactly what he's talking about, that he talks about putting down the differences and, mocking it, and then saying, but then it's also this, which is basically not letting go of any of the divides. Because what Good Trouble is missing here is that what the Purple Revolution isn't a bunch of people saying, hey, let's come together and we'll be the masses and let's vote our conscience. This isn't politics as usual. You need to understand, Good Trouble, specifically you, it's not about those issues right now. All of that is second to what we have to do. We literally, when we're talking about coming together, we're not talking about coming together for a political movement. We're talking about coming together to stand our fucking ground to take this fucking country back. It's not politics as usual. We will deal with politics when we get to have that time again, because right now we don't have that time. We can't just wait for voting, because by that time our rights are going to be fucking gone. So what the Purple Revolution is a revolution. It's us breaking away from authority, just like the American Revolution. That's what it was. We overthrew the English rule by revolution. Once we did that, imperial capitalism, the banks of the old English rule, started ruling us from our financial system. And we're just now realizing that, which this is the great noticing, and then that led us to the Purple Revolution. Because the Purple Revolution means that we see what the enemy is and we see what the problem is. So if you're saying these people that have woken up to this fact need to address the other propaganda bullshit, you're missing the point. That means you're psychologically not ready to be where the Purple Revolution is right now. Because remember, the Purple Revolution isn't led by a person. It's not led by an individual. It's the collective in us waking up and trying to do something to better our fucking lives. So if you're going to sit there and bash it, you're bashing the very thing that's going to free humanity. This is why I say you have red MAGA and you have blue MAGA. Depending on how indoctrinated and where they are in their indoctrination is how long it's going to take for them to wake up. Because at the end of the day, we have to put our differences down and we have to stop these divisive political arguments, because these are the political arguments. And I understand how impactful they are, believe me. But the only way we make things better is by education and coming together, because we see warring with each other. Look where it puts us. And look what it let our government do. They sold it out from underneath of us to a foreign interest. All because we're fighting over trivial shit. And then that trivial shit has turned into troops in our cities. Undercover police departments taking people off the fucking street. This is why these divisive arguments need to stop, and that we need to come together for a common goal, a common purpose. And what's the common goal and common purpose? To save our fucking lives. That's it. Nothing else. Goal. Save our fucking lives. So if you want to keep playing politics as usual, you're going to hurt a lot of people. And that means your kids and my kids are getting mixed up into that too. And I'll be damned if I let some childish fucking bullshit that we can't fucking just talk as adults ruin my children's lives. Just understand, the Purple Revolution is specifically meant to free us. Not to take us into a new business or a new political platform and all of us instantly agree on politics. No. We will revisit politics once our system is safe and we have one that we can even argue politics. Because how do you even fucking argue politics at this point? You can't. Because we're not set up as a democracy right now. Right now, we don't know what the fuck we are. So we have to get control. So the Purple Movement is a revolution. Meaning, we're bringing our change. The change that has to happen. Basically, if you say you join the Purple Revolution, it means that you're taking a stand. Not just that you're taking a stand, but that you're swearing an oath to all of us to help us all fight, because we're only strong in numbers. That's what it is. And what does the fight look like? Whatever the fuck it takes.
Good morning. I know I look like dog shit. I've got a terrible fucking migraine, so bear with me. For anybody who was looking on an update on the Purple Revolution, I have a little bit of one for you today. Yesterday, Purple Revolution did post earlier in the day a video denouncing his support for Trump, saying that I do not agree with anything that this administration stands for any longer. Later on in the day, maybe like early evening, he posted an apology video. And in that, he explained that his apology did not come right away because he has always heard things like talk is cheap. And so he tried to back it up with action with this Purple Revolution and the things that he was saying, that, you know, everybody's equal now and nobody left behind and things like that. But he now understands that words are important too. The things that you say do matter. And so he offered his apologies, and to me, they were very sincere, very genuine. I have said it before and I will say it again. I believe that he is absolutely coming from a sincere, genuine place with this whole Purple Revolution. His intentions are good. I've had the privilege of having some private conversations with him, and he has been nothing but open-minded, willing to learn, willing to listen. And I do give him credit for that, because that's not necessarily easy for everybody. Feel free to disagree with me. This is just my take on his apology. Hunter Howell also came out yesterday with an apology video saying that him platforming and publicly supporting Trump also did a lot of damage, and he recognizes that. The two of them have done what we've asked them to do. They have publicly apologized for the way that their vote has affected so many people. Okay, but those are the words, right? We also want to see the action, and they're trying to do that too. They are trying to get as many people as they can to show up to No Kings, start organizing, start forming groups so that people can get to know each other and start to really form connections that are going to allow this Purple Revolution to even happen. They're listening when you say, we need the words, but we need the actions to back it up. They're doing that. They're doing both. So I just ask that we understand that Purple Revolution has, in his case, the floodgates have opened. This is not a small trickle. The floodgates have absolutely busted open, and he's doing a lot to unpack all of this in a very short amount of time. And then you pair that up with like this Purple Revolution really kind of gaining a lot of traction and a lot of eyes on him in a very short amount of time. All of that together can be super overwhelming. I'm not saying don't hold him accountable for shit. You know, I'm just saying he may not always say exactly the right thing or the right way. And I, for one, will be giving him patience to learn those things. Okay. Yeah, I guess now we'll see where this Purple Revolution goes.
If you're taking part in the Purple Revolution, can you tell me what the goal is? What or who is the target of the revolt? And what is the mission? What is the end goal? Can you name what the problem is and what the fix will be, or the solution, or the plan? Do you all agree? Who will lead it? And what are your non-negotiables? Who makes the day-to-day decisions? Who speaks to the press? Who negotiates? Who gathers evidence? Who handles safety? Are marginalized or more vulnerable people protected explicitly? And if not, why would they want to join? If someone misgenders, slurs, or scapegoats, is it handled right then and there? And how is it handled? Who decides? Are there deal breakers? Are there consequences? Do impacted people have real seats at the table? Real authority? What money, space, or logistics are committed? And by whom? Is anyone getting paid for their labor? Who's getting paid? What's the plan for legal support, disability, accessibility? How will you protect those at higher risk? What leverage or other tools are being used? How are they being used? Who moves those tools? Who can be bought out, and what's your price? I don't ask these questions to discourage, but to point out that as much as we're all craving unity, solidarity cannot just be spontaneously manufactured overnight. Asking people to partner with people who have been calling them maggots for the last decade. Get on board with people who voted against their rights. Partner with people who they begged not to vote for genocide. That's not an easy feat. A real movement, a real revolution needs a framework. This is why theory is so important to a revolution.
So let me see if I got this right. So there's MAGA Republicans who are now wanting to join forces, and it's become the Purple Revolution. Are you fucking kidding me? Does this change their spirit and their soul? The fact that they're just hurting now? You know what? If they're hurting so bad, why don't they pull a J6? They're the reason all this has happened anyway. Fucking pull a J6, Holmes. Go for it. I want to see ya. But otherwise, no. Because it doesn't change who they are. And the moment that things aren't going the way they want it to go, or it's not going fast enough to improve, they will fucking turn on you in an instant. When you invite a serpent into your bed, don't be surprised when it fucking bites you. Purple Revolution, my fucking ass.
It's not left versus right, it's up versus down. Sure, but I think that we can do two things at the same time. I think we can acknowledge that there are wealth-hoarding capitalist monsters dooming millions of people into poverty, and then also some of those millions of people who are doomed to poverty also kind of want immigrants to have no rights in America, and also want women to have different rights in America, and also want gay people to have different rights. It's a little bit of left versus right. And I think that all of the conservatives coming on here talking about a purple revolution where we suddenly hold hands and sing Kumbaya and walk off into the sunset together have to first acknowledge that some of these culture war issues that they have been hoodwinked into thinking are very important to them are because those capitalist wealth-hoarding monsters want them to focus on that, want them to marginalize and other minorities and not their fucking wealth-hoarding capitalist overlords. I'm all for a purple revolution. I just need the color to be a little bit deeper, you know, kind of a bluish, like kind of a dark blue, like a really deep blue where everybody has fucking equal rights, you know?
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.